How did that one coworker get fired? Our company was in the process of being sold. This guy, who was like the assistant manager, had been told by the original company that he would get the manager job when the other guy was promoted to regional manager. I'm simplifying it, but that's the gist. Anyway, the manager was kind of a dick, and we didn't care for him, but this guy was a total douche. If he'd been promoted, it would have been a disaster. When the time came for us to sign our contracts with the new employer, he went to each and every person in the department and asked us to refuse to sign unless the manager was fired and he was promoted. He tried to stage a coup. Nobody agreed with his plan, and one person reported him to the higher-ups. He took the next day off, because it was his birthday, and when he returned to the office, HR was waiting for him. Then he sued for wrongful termination. He lost. He had this job for several years. Nobody really liked him. Maybe because he told them he had the highest IQ of any of them. He also worked the lowest labor grade job. I never talked to him much, but around the pandemic, I mentioned about the shortages. He started telling me he was ready for everything to crash with a bunch of silver coins and some gold. I was okay with our conversation until he started with white supremacy shit. A few days later, a new guy he was training asked the boss to put him with someone else. He was Hispanic, and the dude had started telling me that white people were superior because they were more intelligent. He got called in to speak with HR, and he told the black HR manager the same thing. That's how he got fired. My boss hired a new guy to help out on the closing shift, 2 p. 11 p., at a convenience store. He started pissing people off right away, wouldn't stock any of the booze in the cooler because his religion forbade so much as touching it. Played fundy-ass music in the store even after being told not to. Intimidated the manager. He wasn't there a full week. One afternoon, the assistant manager was at the counter and Dale was in the office. A sheriff's deputy came in, looked around, asked if Dale, so-and-so, was working that day. Ken nodded and pointed toward the office door. He's back there. Deputy thanks him and goes back out. Comes back with a second deputy and they head for that door. Didn't take long. They came back out with Dale in cuffs. Turns out our squeaky clean preacher boy had warrants out for cocaine possession and for beating the living crap out of his wife. A few days after the arrest, the results of the company's background check finally came in and he was fired. Here endeth the lesson. U.S. military. Guy in my squadron was getting a general discharge for bad behavior like missing appointments, mouthing off, refusing to adhere to uniform standards, that sort of thing. For anyone not military, anything other than an honorable discharge means you don't qualify for veterans benefits, and there's a little mark on your background check. Still, a general discharge isn't the end of the world and was the best possible option for this guy. So all his paperwork was signed, bags were packed, and our first sergeant was escorting him to the airport to fly home. You know what he did at the airport? Punched the first sergeant in the face. So instead of flying home with a slap on the wrist, guess who got shipped off to military prison to await a court-martial? Moron. Dude went to Reno to do some gambling and then catch a Jane's Addiction concert. His manager was like, hey, you need to find someone to cover your shift. Guy then called every other waiter he knew and they all said they were busy. But the guy was already in Reno and honestly in no condition to go to work, even if he could magically teleport back to San Francisco to work his shitty dinner shift. So this same righteous brother enjoyed his time at an amazing Jane's concert and showed up a day later. In fascist form, he was summarily relieved of employment at the previous establishment. At which point a celebration ensued with other coworkers. One particular coworker went all out in these celebrations and was not able to contribute as a member of the work crew the following day. And he was also summarily dismissed from employment at aforementioned facility. At which point another celebration ensued. Anyway, that dude was me and the other guy was my buddy Dave Wave. And we both found gainful employment in the ensuing weeks. No regrets.